Going on, everybody, and welcome to another feature episode of Tuesday Talks. I am your host, Jared Dimitri. This Tuesday, we're going to be talking to somebody who is very special in the industry, and honestly, somebody who has been like nobody we've spoke to before. So she's from a season, well, actually, she's from Cycle 20 of America's Next Top Model, a very special season. It was the first season they ever did, men and women, and she actually finished as one of the top two females. So we're actually going to be speaking with Renee, one of the only black models that also ended in the top five when you include the guys as well. So I'm really, really looking forward to speaking with her, figuring out more about her insight, not only working on the show, some of her life prior, as well as what has life been like after being, a finalist as the top two females in such a huge show as America's Next Top Model, as well as even her entrepreneurship. So I'm about to go ahead and join her in. Hope you guys definitely enjoy the conversation. And then, of course, as always, feel free to drop in your questions, ask questions. So
Hi.
we have the lovely Renee here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining in with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So I know I gave you a brief introduction, but I definitely want to give you the floor to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Renee Bhagwandeen. I guess Renee Big Time on Instagram. I've been a model for over 10 years, and one of my passions is to empower especially ethnic and Black women to do the best that they can, especially by us being a representation in the fashion and marketing industry, because there's
Hmm.
not enough of us that's,
100%.
being presented.
Right, very, very different. And then, I mean, just your trajectory and your insight from being the last 10 years, especially till now, because we're modeling, it's slowly becoming now in 2020, is very different than where it was in 2010 or even when you was on America's Next Top Model in 2013.
Oh,
So
yeah.
definitely different representation, but we still have a long way to go. So I definitely want to figure out too, the way that you got on America's Next Top Model wasn't the normal casting. So I also
No.
want to I want to figure out and let everybody know like a little bit of your life prior to joining America's Next Top Model. You were actually already a signed model, correct?
I was, yes.
Who
I
who
was
are you
actually
with?
signed with Next Models,
Okay, so you
ironically.
was with Next prior. So
Yes,
what
I
was that
was.
like? So how did you become scouted? Were you scouted in New York, Miami?
Oh, as far as Next?
Hmm.
So Next was my second modeling agency ever.
Oh,
How
okay.
I actually got into the modeling industry was when I was 16 years old. I told my mom that I wanted to be a model.
Hmm.
And having a West Indian Caribbean family, they didn't
Yeah.
think that that would be a very fruitful career. I'm sure a lot of you
Right.
have heard that before.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so as far as that goes, my mom was like, I think she was trying to tell me this to like kind of deter me from doing it. So she was just like,
Okay.
well, when you graduate high school, you can do whatever you want. So
Hmm.
me being the person that I was, I said, okay. So I found a way to skip a grade. So that's what I did. And I was supposed to graduate when I was 16. Well, I did graduate
Hmm.
when I was 16. So then she was just like, well, you're too young. You have to do it when you're 18.
Okay.
She kind of tricked me.
Hmm.
But I'm glad she did those things because it kind of helps me to figure out how to be determined. And,
Hmm.
it helped me to like learn if you want something, you go after it. And it
Yeah.
was the first thing in a career where if you want something, you really have to go after it. It was like my first lesson in the modeling industry.
Hmm.
So shortly after that, around the time I was 16, I got a message from a woman that worked with Ford Models,
Okay.
and that was my motivation. So it's the day I
Right.
turned 18, I went in and I was signed.
Okay.
And
So your first agency was Ford.
she moved, by the time I was 18, she had opened
Mhm.
her own agency. It was called Percent Models at that time.
Okay. Got
So
it.
it was like a whole completely different thing, which I thought was a
Hmm.
blessing because some people think that in order to be a successful model, you have to be with a large agency.
Right.
Sometimes it's a lot better to be with a boutique agency that understands you and wants to
Hmm.
push you to be who you need to be in the
Right.
industry. So that's how
Very
that worked
correct.
out for me.
Okay.
Um, I guess like with Next, how that happened was being at Percent, I didn't work that much.
Hmm.
I think it was mostly because there was not a lot of work for women like me.
Right.
And, you know, it was like a really hard industry to be in. So
Hmm.
I gave up.
And this is still in New York, correct? So all
This
of
is
this is
actually in
happening.
Florida.
Okay, so all of this is happening in Florida market.
Yes.
Got you.
So I gave up a little bit and I was like, forget this. This is not for
Hmm.
me. I'm just going to go, you know, be something else. So I became the one of the marketing directors at a magazine,
Hmm.
and a teacher and a few other things, but they didn't work out for me. And I kept getting fired from my bosses saying, this is not where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, this is
And at the
not your
time,
job.
you're
Yeah.
like, ah,
You're like, what you
I'm
mean? I need some money.
trying.
I need a job. This is what I'm supposed to
Right.
do. Right.
You're like, I'm really
Okay.
trying here.
Hmm.
So, long story short, I had the opportunity to go to different modeling agencies.
Okay.
And my number one was Next. And it was so nerve-wracking. You're gonna die when you hear this. So I had like a few pictures. So like when people say, you know, I need to have all these extravagant pictures and like beautiful pictures in order to get signed, that's a lie.
Yeah.
I literally took like I had one photo shoot done and they
Oh,
were
wow.
not the best pictures ever, I promise you.
Okay.
And they were I had straight hair in all of those pictures.
Hmm.
So when I was referred to go see different agencies, they recommended that I go with my natural hair and no makeup. So that's what
Hmm.
I did when I went into Next, and they were like, "We love you. We would love to work with you, but there's a
Wow.
girl that looks really similar to you," which this happens very often. Um,
Hmm.
that if she's the one that we wanted to work with first, and they said this to my face. They said she's the one we wanted to work with, and if she says no, then we'll call you. So like it felt good because they kind of considered me, but then it kind of felt bad
Yeah.
because I'm just like, okay,
Right. At
that's
least
not
it was
fun.
honesty. That's
Oh
something
yeah,
that you
for sure.
usually
It's money.
don't
Time is
get.
money, and Next
Hmm.
models, especially in Florida, they
Yeah.
have a they're very good at that. And it's like sometimes it's sad, but you don't want them to waste your time, you
At
know?
all. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went downstairs. I'm a crier, so like on the way down, I'm like bawling.
Okay.
And my mom's in the car and she was ready to say I told you so.
Oh,
Because
that
she
would
really
feel.
did want me to do something different.
Hmm.
And so I started telling her what happened, and I get a call from Next, and they were
Hmm.
like, "There's a girl in the office that is amazing, and we really want to work with her. And if you're not here because you're late within the next 2 minutes, we're gonna sign her." So like when I say I like took my shoes off and ran upstairs, like I like busted the door, and they're like, "What are you doing here? We just told you we'll
Uh-huh.
call you." I'm just sitting there like kind of confused. So they
Oh,
thought I was two
wow.
different girls because curly hair, straight hair, me. They didn't. I don't think
Yeah.
they understood that we can do that.
Yeah.
So that's
Wow.
how I
That
got
is
signed.
amazing.
It
Wow.
is.
No, you were right. That is a crazy story. Like
Yeah.
they called you thinking you were a whole different person, and it's like, well,
Hmm.
technically the same. I just changed my hair, but
Right.
I'm just
But
showing you my versatility already. But
right, exactly. And at that
hmm.
time, I don't think many models were doing that or
Yeah.
in their agency. So it was more of a marketing point for them. So like she can do this and she could do
Hmm.
that. So, you know, it's like we're marketing her as two different girls. So I think that was
Exactly.
like the real beginning of my career as
That's
a
amazing.
doppelganger.
That's amazing. But I mean, I honestly think like even the new Cycle 20 just came back on Netflix. It's out for everybody to watch.
Yeah.
Almost like a resurgence. But one thing I've definitely seen in your pictures, you really transform from
Oh,
one
thank you.
picture to another. You like can easily have this chameleon aspect that's not, like you said, it's not very prevalent. It's not every model that can do it, but certain models can really, really just transform and look like completely different people. Especially when you go from like real life to somebody who can take a picture like yourself. That's
Thank
such
you.
a huge point. So you got with Next in
Hmm.
Florida,
Yeah.
working. So once you got signed, was it pretty much right in the door? You're working, things were very active, or was it a little slower?
It was extremely slow.
Okay.
So for me, getting just one job was amazing. It was
Hmm.
like, you know, I had like I'm a dreamer. So like as a child, like until that point, I've like went through every magazine I wanted to work with. I've
Hmm.
taken out every picture that I wanted to be in. Like some of them was ironically the first and foremost, I wanted to be America's Next Top Model. That was
Uh-huh.
like the first thing in there. So I had like an ad with America's Next Top Model, ad on it. And then I had like
Hmm.
CoverGirl, and I had all these different like ads that I thought like one day I can be it. And
Right.
like I like live in my own little world. So I think like like speaking things into existence kind of
It's
helped
very
me out
real.
in this part of it and
Yeah.
praying like crazy.
Hmm.
So I would like pretend like I like see it in my head,
Hmm.
and like try to like, do it in the mirror and like, you know,
Practicing,
and
practicing. Yeah.
yeah, so that was pretty much the bulk of my career. I would book like jobs like, like JC Penney for ecom, probably
Yeah.
Target. So a lot more commercial jobs in the beginning.
Okay.
Um, that was big for me, like extremely big for me. So those are the jobs that kind of like held me together to like, okay, girl, this could happen for you.
Yeah. Like it's
Um,
working, things are happening. It's not the
yes,
idea you see, but it's like you're actively working as a model, being
right.
paid for work. Yes.
Yeah, and I was proving to myself that like, okay, you work this hard, so it's, you saw a little bit of the fruits of your labor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I didn't work a lot. So my parents were like, you're like, at this point I was like around 23. When I think
Okay.
23 was the year that everything happened
Hmm.
differently for me.
Right.
And I again did not work a lot. So my parents were like, if you don't get a regular job, you have to get out of our house. Oh, I had to get a regular job, and I had to get back in school because I quit school as
Okay.
soon as I became a model, which was not
Hmm.
the best decision I ever made.
So I
But
can understand it. You know, figuring
I
life
wish
out in
I
your
would have
20s.
finished because
Yeah.
I'm finishing now. So it took me a long
Hmm.
time to do it, but it is an accomplishment that I think is extremely important for anyone.
Right. What were you going
And
for?
right now I'm for digital design. Back then I was a history major.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah.
So
And I'm
go ahead.
sorry,
Go
go
ahead. I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Oh,
No, because I
okay.
was just gonna say, so going from that, not working too much, and then starting to progress, and then having that pressure from your parents, like,
Yeah,
hey, you need to either get out or go to school and get a job.
right.
That next level motivation, where did that kind of end up pushing you to?
It put the fire under me, like
Mhm.
seriously, because I got nervous because like I booked like one job and I'm like, okay, now I'm a supermodel. Everybody don't speak to me,
Okay.
you know? And
Hmm.
then it'll be like one job. Like what how it was for me, it would be like a week of like awesomeness. And you're thinking, okay, God, this is it. Like,
Right.
this is what we prayed for. I remember
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
a friend of mine, me and Asia, and we would sit there and we'd be like, girl, we prayed for this every day, and like now it's happening. And and then
Hmm.
like the next week, month, whatever,
Just
you're
quiet.
like crickets.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I did end up getting back that job with one of my bosses, and
Hmm.
it was at New You Magazine for marketing. I really like marketing as well. That was the
Okay.
major I was supposed to finish in
Hmm.
school.
Gotcha.
And long story short, I wasn't modeling at that time. I still had an agency. I was still with Next, but I didn't
Hmm.
really work at all. So
Gotcha.
I thought that being in an agency, in a like a place where they were booking models, because I was helping with them with booking the models, which
Right. That would
I
help you a little
died.
bit, kind of
Yeah.
get in and
I
get some
thought I was,
insight. Yeah.
yeah. And it did work out for a little bit because you have to put yourself into the places.
You
So
do,
that one
definitely.
day I was at work, and I'm like, you have one of those complacent days when you're just like, nothing's gonna happen for me. I can't believe this is what
Yeah.
my life is gonna be forever.
You start to
And
wallow a
then,
little bit and everything. Yeah. Hmm.
yes. And like,
You
I'm a
feeling it.
crier, so I'm like always crying. And
Okay.
I think God's like, all right. So my boss calls me into the
Relax.
office. I'll never
Hmm.
forget it. We're still friends till this day. His name is Peter.
Hmm.
And he calls me in, and he was just like, here's your last check. You're fired.
Okay.
I open the check, and it's a plane ticket to go to Trinidad.
Hmm.
So I'm like, what are you doing? I like have no money saved because I didn't think ahead like I should have.
Right.
I have, my parents are never going to support this. And he was just like,
Hmm.
well, I saw that there were people in a Facebook group online saying that you would be a good candidate to enter in the Miss Universe pageant. So I was
Wow.
just like, first of all, the last time I was in Trinidad, I was 6 years old.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of said to myself after my grandma, who was really close to me, who did believe in my dream, passed
Hmm.
away, that I would never go back there. Um,
Okay.
the other ironic thing is when I was born, she foresaw that I would be a model, which I don't think she really knew what it was. And
Hmm.
she also foresaw that I would be Miss Trinidad and Tobago. So, like, I just never thought that any of these things could ever come true. She also
It's not
foresaw that
like
I would
she
be an
knew, you just didn't
influencer.
know yet. I'm about to say she
Right.
knew, you just didn't know. She was like, "Oh no, this is what's gonna happen." Yeah.
Right. And she
Hmm.
never saw any of it. So it's like
Hmm.
bittersweet. And I had no other options. So I
Right.
lost my job. So I knew my parents weren't gonna like that. So I was just like, you know what? My friend was just like, girl, if
Why
you
not?
have to have you have to have faith. Like, looks like an opportunity and, go for it. So I
Hmm.
went to Trinidad and I went and I thought, you know what? The way that this is happening, I can't lose, you
Yeah.
know? And I lost.
Okay.
I spent an entire year training how to be a beauty queen, which is a little
Hmm.
bit different than what you would do as a model. But
Very different.
not really actually. For
Really?
me, I'm
Okay.
glad I had that training because I learned how to speak in like interviews, and I
Hmm.
learned how to walk. I know how to talk. I learned how to dress myself properly because those things are people don't understand how important those things are.
The
Like you
details.
show up to a casting, every girl's wearing exactly the same thing. What makes you different than her? I
Yeah.
learned that, always have your nails done neatly.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Walk in and dress for the job. Know how to
Hmm.
present yourself because you are your product.
You're right.
So I learned those things that I was going to need later on in my career. And I'm
Okay.
so thankful that I had that opportunity and like to be able to like learn all those things. It
Hmm.
was one of the hardest things I have ever done in my
Okay.
entire life, but I'm so blessed that I was able to learn. After that, I came back and my parents was like, now you lived your dream. Now you have to
Hmm.
go back to school.
Wow. Okay.
So I was just like, I sat there and I was like crying. I was like, God, why me? And I got an email from an agency randomly. Not an agency from the agency, and they told me you can go to China and compete to be as Miss Trinidad and Tobago. You would be chosen at
Hmm.
large, and let's see how you do there. The only problem was there's no black models that's ever won or been acknowledged at all because
Right.
Chinese market is not necessarily us.
Right.
I was just like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's
If I
it's an
can, why not?
opportunity. Yeah.
Exactly. It's another one. Let's shoot our shot and see what happens.
Right. So I
Hmm.
thought, okay, this is it. God's telling me that since I was resilient, I'm gonna go
Hmm.
there. Can I just put you on hold 1 second? There's someone at my door. I am so sorry.
Go
One
ahead. Go
second.
ahead.
I'll be right
Okay.
back. Okay.
Okay. So, in the meantime, while we wait on Renee, everybody who is tuning in, definitely feel free to drop your questions in the comments. Um, Definitely whatever insight or whatever ideas you guys have and that you really, really want to know. I know we're definitely going to get to a few things, so feel free to drop your questions whenever. Um, Hit the little button. I'll be sure to get to them before we wrap up. So, go ahead. So, you can't hear me? Let me see. Can you hear me now? No? Uh, I mean, let me. I don't want. I don't know what happened to our sound. Can you guys hear us in the comment? Marnay, okay. I'm about to say, yeah, definitely ask. We'll touch base on what's happening with Marnay for sure. I'll make sure to ask that before we wrap up because I know I definitely want to talk about things that are happening or what was life like on America's Next Top Model, as well as what really was, that life that you don't hear much after Next Top Model. We hear you, not her. Okay, let's see. She's coming back in now, so let's see if this is a little bit better. I don't know yet. Her sound dropped out for a second. Hmm. Okay, you're
Sorry
back.
about
Yeah,
that.
that was giving me insight. They're like, we can hear you, not her. So I'm good. Okay,
Okay.
so you picked back it up. So okay, so yes, definitely. The market wasn't the same in China, but you had the opportunity, so you went to China, and what
Uh-huh.
happened? Hmm.
I didn't win, but for
Okay.
me, I felt like I did because I was the first Black woman to ever place in China,
Wow.
and it
Where did you
was
play?
top 15.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't like a win, but for me, it
Hmm.
was a win because it was something that I didn't think that anyone like me could do. So
Right.
it was very, very special for me. So I felt like I won. So if you ask me, I won.
Okay. It's definitely a big moment for sure. So you
Yes.
placed top 15 in a market that has almost never done it before with no
Mhm.
acknowledgement. But you end up at some point you compete again and you end up
On America's
winning
Next.
on America's
No,
Next Top. Oh, okay.
so after China, my parents really didn't, they were over it because they thought, okay,
Okay.
this time it's school time now.
Yeah. So like
So
finally.
I just decided I got an opportunity to move to New York and live in the mall apartment with another agency.
Okay.
And I was at Pentamoon, and it was an amazing agency. I was able to work a lot more than I did before.
Okay.
I was super blessed to be in like a modeling agency that had like very supportive people. But like a lot of the girls in the modeling agency at the mall apartment, there were a lot of white girls, black girls, Asian girls. There's like like a whole lot of different people.
Yeah.
And when I saw how much you could work as a different
Hmm.
race, it kind of got me discouraged.
Hmm.
And I had friends that were working every single day. I had friends that were working at least once a week. And I was,
Hmm.
my jobs, I was working enough to sustain, to be, able to do it full time,
Right.
but it was nowhere near
It wasn't
what I
lavish
had.
yet, but you could
Yeah.
sustain yourself and everything.
And I was
So
always
what
like the token. I wasn't really,
mhm.
I didn't like that. Like I thought like, okay, all of these girls are amazing. Not that any was better than the other, but
Yeah.
there had to be an opportunity for all of us to shine. And I didn't think that I
Hmm.
was giving that shot.
Okay.
It came a point where everything was just like very dead. And I stopped working.
Hmm.
And I was headed home. I called my mom. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to school.
Hmm.
On my way to the airport, my agent, Manny, he calls me.
Hmm.
He's like, I'm sending you this casting. Just go. I don't want to hear anything else. And then you get on the plane. You can do whatever you want after that. So I
Okay.
went, and it just happened to be top model. If
Well,
I would have known it was top model, I probably wouldn't have gone because I would have thought
why
like
not?
out of all these people in the entire world,
Hmm.
why would they pick me?
Yeah.
So I'm like sitting there still not knowing it's top model casting because there's like guys and girls there. And
Yeah.
there's this guy,
And
me
then
and this
before
guy,
that, they never had guys. So you're like, no,
right.
okay. Hmm.
It didn't even cross my mind. So then like I'm sitting next to this guy and he's like, watch, everybody's gonna come in, Tyra's gonna walk in, and then
Hmm.
everybody's gonna be like, oh my god, it's Tyra. They'd be so stupid. I mean, him were like talking mad shit in the back, like,
Right.
he knows it's top model. I did it.
Hmm.
So then
It didn't
Tyra
click
Banks,
yet.
right? Then she really
Okay.
walks in. And
Hmm.
me and him are like at the back. Like I bet there's no one that can ever scream as loud as us two in the back. Like oh my god, it's Tyra, and we're like
Y'all
dying
did
in front
exactly
of
what you was
fame,
talking about everybody else would do.
talking shit
Okay.
about us, right?
Right.
And then that was at that point I was just like, okay, is this going to be another disappointment or is this going to be something that's for me? And
Hmm.
Tyra Banks, when I did my walk, she said, excuse me, tell that girl that her tag's showing. So I thought, okay, I could die now. Like
Right.
Tyra Banks noticed me.
Hmm.
And I guess the call, you're supposed to get the call before Christmas. I didn't get the call. So
Oh
of
wow.
course I like cried for like a month straight, like totally
Okay.
depressed. I'm so dramatic. Like I'm probably like wore black for like the whole month and like, it was super
Uh-huh.
dramatic, you
Okay.
know.
Okay. I'm catching
And
the vibes
then
now from everything.
right.
Yeah. I got you.
The day a few like maybe like a few weeks after Christmas vacation, I got a call. And
Hmm.
they were like, make sure you're by your phone at this time, da da da.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay. And it just happened that I was on a plane at that time because I had one job in New York. I was just like, finally I'm working. One
Right.
job. And when I got off the plane, I'd missed Tyra's call.
Oh
So
wow.
she calls me back and she's just like, you won. So not
Mhm.
won, you
But you
see.
made it, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So that
Mhm.
was like the beginning of America's Next Top Model for me. So that was
Mhm.
like a blessing.
Right. A huge one. And I think it's this, well, one, you keep continuing to get like these last stitch. As soon as
Yeah.
you feel like you're about to give up, something big or a huge opportunity comes to you to take you to
Right back.
Trinidad again where you need to be, and then send you to China, and then you move to New York, and then you get on a show on their 20th
It's
season,
like,
like
yeah.
America's Next Top Model, and then you end up really finishing like the top two females on the entire show, and you're the only black girl in the top five, or the only black person in the top five, period. which is
Yeah.
huge. So
Yeah.
quick, a little bit. So like, what was your experience working through America's Next Top Model? Like the day to day of it. I know you hear it's hectic and everything all the time, just as far as the hours, so much and so forth that you guys have to put in. So what
Yeah.
was kind of that like for you?
Okay, so I had just spent an entire year training how to be, Miss Trinidad and Tobago. So I
Yeah.
did have the training. Um,
Hmm.
if I didn't have that training, I don't think I would have made it that far, to be honest. I
Hmm.
think it would have been a lot harder for me to understand what it was because the training in Trinidad, we woke up super early. We had a specific diet. We
Yeah.
did work. We worked out for the cameras, for the TV cameras. So we like
Hmm.
I learned how to like have a smile on your face while you're like literally going through hell, working
Uh-huh.
out or whatever.
Right.
And so I learned a good poker face from there.
Hmm.
But I did have a little stigma because there was a white girl that won that year, and I
Hmm.
felt like there were again more opportunities for white women.
Yeah.
So I was a little bitter
Hmm.
because I felt like it was the same deal there.
Yeah. Because
And
you definitely had a very serious competitive nature when it came
I'm
to
very
you
competitive.
back and forth and like with Jordan. Like it
Yeah.
was like, hey, it's me and you. This is what I'm going after. I know I need to do everything I need to.
You know what it
But
is too? She's
hmm.
also the same as me. We both are Libras, so we both
Okay.
understand each other very well.
Hmm.
You have that friend where you always talk shit with each other all the time.
Yeah.
We have that relationship. Unfortunately, you only see me, the villain, being a bitch. You never see
Hmm.
her, the winner,
Yeah.
being a
Yeah.
bitch.
Kind of that same way.
So
Hmm.
I guess it was beneficial to make, the black woman the villain and the white
Yeah.
woman the winner, per usual.
Right. Right.
So I know I've been getting like a lot of like really, really ugly comments about like
Really.
that. And they're like, oh, you're such a jealous person. You're just that. I have no jealousy for anyone. Like, because I know that you can't look at someone else. You have
Yeah.
to run your own race. But
Hmm.
Jordan and I, we understood each other enough to be like, you know, like
Yeah.
we're in the competition together. And what people don't realize is there are boys on this competition as well. But
Hmm.
I felt like the most worthy competitor in that competition was Jordan. She is a
Yeah.
beautiful woman. She is a great model. So,
Hmm.
even though we were being crazy and like running around, like, making fun of each other all day, it
Right.
was an honor to be able to compete with someone I felt worthy, you know,
100%. And like you
you
said, I
know.
mean, the word in totality is competition because I mean, it's a TV
Exactly.
show, it's fun and everything, but it is a competition to win a certain thing.
Yes.
And Jordan is the typical model.
She
Um,
is. But she's more
so
than that. I
yeah.
can say that. She really is more than that.
No,
It's easy
she's
to
a
talk
like
shit, but
she
like
can
she's
take a
really a great
photo.
person.
She
Yeah,
has an amazing walk in it. Like she has
she
all the work
does.
ethic for the characteristics also, but she
Yeah.
naturally has the look as well. So those
Mm-hmm.
two things going hand in hand is a
Mm-hmm.
very hard thing to compete against. So knowing you have to
Right.
compete is something you
Mm-hmm.
definitely had in your spirit burning throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
So
But one thing I did learn throughout the little career time that I did have at that point is that
mhm,
I'm gonna have to work 5 times as harder. I'm not your
yeah,
typical white girl. I'm not your typical black girl. I'm not your typical
mhm,
model. I don't look
right,
like anyone. I don't like. I didn't really have a short path. So
mhm,
working hard wasn't something that was foreign to me. And
yeah,
I was excited to do it because if I were to win in my mind at that point, I would feel
mhm,
like I deserved it. You know,
yeah,
I never want to not get something that I didn't deserve.
right,
And, I saw what was going on. And I
you was
really
able to
wanted
see,
to, make it so clear to people that were watching, no matter what it is going on behind the scenes, that I was doing my job and I deserved to be there. So that was
yeah.
like my biggest thing in the whole
No,
thing.
you definitely made it very clear that I'm doing everything I need to and like I'm putting
Thank
my best
you.
foot forward consistently.
Thank
So
you.
your days on America's Next Top Model were crazy. Your competitions were crazy. They had you guys hanging upside down, doing walks downside of buildings, so on and so
So
forth.
cool. Oh my gosh.
So it was so much. I've never seen anything like it. I was like, I don't know when there's ever going to be a runway down the side of a building publicly,
Oh
but
my
it's a
gosh.
challenge. So
That was like the highlight of my life.
So you completed, and what has life really kind of or what did life really transpire for you after finishing in such a high position on such a notarized show?
Oh my gosh. There's good there are a lot of good, but there was also a lot of bad.
Okay.
First of all, I had no idea that people would ever even know who I was.
Mm-hmm.
My first experience with a fan, and I'll never forget it, is I was booked for a guest appearance for,
Mm-hmm.
Guess the brand. And mind you, I was so excited for that. And for some reason, my plane was late flying in to go do it.
Okay.
And I'm like, literally like running down the street to get there, at least a little bit on time.
Right.
And then like as soon as I walk into the building, there's this like girl, and she goes and starts screaming. And
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, if this girl is screaming, what, you know what I
What is
mean? Like, what's
happening?
the first thing you're
Yeah.
gonna do? I turn around and booked it the other way, and I
Yeah.
ran track, so I'm not, you know,
Yeah. Okay. You had the
and
normal.
she caught me, and like the first thing, all she wanted to do was hug me and cry, and I'm just like, are you okay? Like,
Uh-huh.
who did it? Who we fighting? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Uh-huh.
didn't
Uh-huh.
understand what was going on, and
Right.
when I realized she was just like, I saw you on the show, and the show it hadn't aired yet, and
Mm-hmm.
she was like, I saw you on the show because there's like pre, things that they would release, and
Okay.
then I realized like she's this is me, like, then
She's
I
doing this
start
for you.
crying, and we're
Right.
both start crying, and like it was just like that was like I would never forget that day. It was just the most beautiful thing ever, because not just that she realized me, it felt like you work so hard and you can see that someone appreciated it, because I
Yeah.
wasn't around too many people that were excited about modeling, you
Uh-huh.
know so
Yeah.
that was
Exactly.
huge for me. But
Mm-hmm.
then the as far as like working wise,
Mm-hmm.
I was advised not to tell anyone that I was on the show, just
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know, it's not even just that the show, I guess apparently in the fashion industry it wasn't supposed to be a great thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I'm not one to follow the rules, and I was proud of what I've done, so I did
Yeah.
it anyways. And I would get comments like, well, you did America's Next Top Model, but you're still a good model, so I think that
Okay.
with right I
That's
mean,
like
you
a
know what I mean, it's
backhanded
just like I
compliment. Like
worked my
what?
ass off, right.
Exactly. Like okay.
Right. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it is what it is. That was my journey, and it worked out for me. After
Mm-hmm.
America's Next Top Model, I guess the industry as a whole started changing.
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful things about Tyra Banks is that not only did she change the industry for a lot of models, especially for models like us and
Yeah.
like me, she gave us an opportunity, and she gave us a spotlight like, hey, this is time for you, that you can shine. It's not
Exactly.
just me, it's not just her. If you do the work and you're able to like, you know you're able
Mm-hmm.
to do it.
Correct.
So I think because of her, I was able to bust down some doors.
Yeah. I hear
And
100%.
yeah, for me though, it started being, I started working a lot.
Okay.
As I to the point where I started being able to like turn down jobs.
All right.
Um,
So
right.
what
I was just,
one time a
don't
week
speak to me.
for a month till I can't, I'm too booked and busy. I can't even do
Right.
it. Uh-huh.
Right. And if you know me, like working I feel like that's where my worth comes from. Like when you
Hmm.
feel like you're, worth something.
Accomplishing things and doing something
Yeah.
and it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, especially something I mean, it sounds sweet and cute right now, but there was a
Mhm.
lot of tears. There's a lot of like, because like everybody, it looks easy when you look at someone that you feel has gotten there.
Yeah.
Because I used to look at girls and be like the American Next Top Model girls and be like, oh my God, Eva, oh my God, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
Like,
Even picture like what
please,
happened and everything. Yes.
yeah, like what did she
Hmm.
do? But
Right.
it's a lot of work. Yeah, there's a lot of like, like blessings, because I don't know if this could have went any other way if God wasn't a part of my
Right.
story, because
Hmm.
there's no way that you get fired and get sent to Miss Universe, or
Exactly. Yeah. I don't
running
know many
home.
people who are giving you separation letters with a plane ticket in it. That it's not
Exactly,
really something
exactly.
often.
So
So it
yeah.
you definitely have had an amazing journey. And I think it was something that was so interesting that even when I initially reached out and just kind of looked into some of the stuff that was happening prior, you were already signed and they sent you
Yeah.
a job as a casting for something that was so huge as it could easily be something great for you, despite industry wise, internally, the internal fashion industry is very different on how they do things.
Mm-hmm.
So they may not love the show. However, if you're giving people a spotlight, I'm exposing
Yeah,
you to a whole nother side of the world or a
exactly.
whole nother group of people. You can leverage this opportunity with how you
Hmm.
leverage it. And I think,
Exactly.
as you said, you started working way more. You were already with Next, so there was nothing new to kind of happen there. But beyond that, you really, even until now and consistently, you branched out into entrepreneurship.
Hmm. Oh my gosh, that's like the best thing for me right now. I'm so excited
Mhm.
about that.
So go into that a little bit because you have this subscription model.
Yes.
You're a phenomenal face for it because one, you
Oh,
already
thank
have
you.
the modeling experience, and then you already have a desire for marketing, which is like a perfect combination.
Yeah. Well,
So
modeling is
yeah,
marketing if you think about it,
100%. I
you
don't think a lot of
know?
people pay attention to that, but
Yeah.
as a model, you are a marketing subject for a
Yeah.
brand, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the job description. So tell us
Exactly.
about your entrepreneurial journey and even how you took it from modeling after America's Next Top Model and really carving a lane and carving a business for yourself.
Okay, so here's a little backstory. I have a small, unhealthy obsession with shoes.
Okay.
It's extremely bad.
I don't think you're
So
the only one, so it's understandable.
I feel like I'm one of the bad ones though. So like
Okay.
every time, so I lived in New York for a while. I even lived in South Africa and like different countries for a while. And every
Hmm.
time I booked a job, I would send a pair of shoes just to remind myself like you did something good, girl. You know, that's like my thing.
Okay.
So
No.
by the time I would come visit the house one day, my mom's like, "This is absolutely out of control. You have, I literally have like a bedroom full of, full of shoes at my
Oh my
parents'
goodness. So
house."
you needed a whole
Um,
second bedroom just as a closet.
yeah, the second bedroom, my closet, my entire bedroom. It was bad. It was bad.
Oh, oh
Um,
goodness. Okay.
it's really bad. And
Okay.
no one's allowed to wear my shoes. No one's allowed to
Hmm.
touch my shoes. Like I would
Hmm.
like literally like die. So
Hmm.
eventually I came home for a holiday and my mom was like, "Why don't you turn this into something that's beneficial for you? You work for
Hmm.
all these different brands, and that's great, but when are you going to be representing yourself?" And like it
Right.
sounded, I used to hate when my mom said stuff like that, but she was always pushing me to be better than what I expected. Because I had just
Right.
always thought, like, you know, being a model just meant representing someone else. And
Hmm.
that's how the entrepreneurship kind of like budded me.
Hmm.
So when I got home, she was just like, if you don't take all these shoes and put it on Craigslist, you know, and actually make some money,
Right. Make some money from it.
yeah, I'm gonna
Hmm.
send them all away or throw them away or whatever. So I was like,
Gotcha.
okay. So that was a couple years ago. I opened a shoe store, and it really did. It did very well. It did better than I expected. So I sold pretty
Okay.
much a lot of my own shoes because a lot of people are size 8. If you're a size 8 or a size 9, you're awesome.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah. A lot of times whenever I'm doing pulls and everything, I can just be like, hey, what's the size? I don't know her size, but give me an 8 and it'll probably work.
Exactly.
And it usually does. So yeah.
Exactly. So then I did some research. I found distributors that I wanted to work with, and they sent me like samples. So I got shoes too, and I was
Hmm.
able to put them on my website. It was
Nice.
called in the beginning Soul Tie Shoe Shop,
Hmm.
and then work started getting like extremely awesome. Like I was really busy, so I didn't have the time to be able to keep up with it. And I'm a perfectionist, so I really didn't want, like I couldn't find the type of help that I needed to be able to like do the things that I felt was going to be the way that I would have done it. So I put
Okay.
that on hold until recently.
Hmm.
Um,
And when you say work, you mean modeling was getting so busy that you
yeah,
weren't able to balance out
yes,
the business as well as your own bookings.
yes.
Okay.
So, and then I started getting into acting. Like I was like so blessed to be able to like work with The Rock on Ballers
Yeah.
and like a couple
Hmm.
different things. I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. It's so awesome.
Right.
But I think one thing that sometimes that everybody needs to remember too is like if you oversaturate yourself doing too much,
Hmm.
everything's gonna fail because you need to focus.
Correct.
And that did happen to me. It was so bad where I tried to do everything at once. Where I fell into like a huge depression. I was
Hmm.
like, you know, like it's just like I just hit like a wall and like you know, I just didn't know how to like pick myself up. It was
Yeah.
bad.
Okay.
And my mom suggested, you know, like give it a break. You know, it's not like you failed. You can also, you
Hmm.
know, reconvene, you know.
Exactly.
and you're having all these opportunities now. The modeling industry, it's an up and down thing. So whenever you're, you know, doing well in a certain area, you know, run with it, you
Right.
know? So that's what I did, and I put it on hold. So this year, I was actually thinking about it since last year to restart this business. But again, modeling was really busy. And
Right.
as far as um, working goes, like I was working every day, turning down jobs, which is like, oh my gosh, like I hate that because you want to do everything.
Yeah, you like if I
And
could be in both places, I would. But I can't be
exactly.
here and be here. Yes.
And like the curly hair girl and the straight hair girl, like could we be like two people for real, you
Exactly.
know?
Right.
So what happened was, so this is like a snapshot of like kind of what my year this year, this in the beginning of this year was.
Yeah.
So I went to Bali, I went to Dubai.
Hmm.
Right after that, I went to Jamaica, and then
Hmm.
the last stop was um, uh, Cuba for
Okay.
a swim campaign. And I was flying in and out of Florida, which is where my parents' house is.
Hmm.
So at the time, I wasn't living here, I was living in New York.
Hmm.
So what happened was when I came back from Cuba, I started coughing. And well,
Hmm.
not come back, like the night before, I started like coughing, and it was really, really bad. Like, you know, I don't know. It was just like I've had the flu and stuff before, but it wasn't like
Felt a little
anything.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Hmm.
bad. And then from the time I was at the airport to drive to my parents' house, because I'm a big baby. If I'm sick, I'm going home to sleep with my mom, you know, and
Okay.
my dad.
Okay.
It's just like, you know, I call my mom. She's just like, I'm at church right now, but, you know, I'll be home, you know, by the time you get there, I'll make you some soup or something.
Yeah.
So I'm there, and I didn't even make it to their bed. There's like, my nephews have like a little kid bed on the floor.
Hmm.
And I just like put my jacket on and like curled up in a ball and like
And that
was
was
on the
it.
floor. Yeah.
Hmm.
I woke up in the ambulance. That was
Wow.
the day that they shut down the entire country for COVID. So there was no even way for me to get home.
Wow.
Um, so I don't know if I had COVID or not. They said it wasn't, but
Hmm. It
I
was
was
symptoms.
unresponsive for like a little while. It
Mhm.
felt like something different. So I don't even think that they had the means to check at that time.
Right.
So, you know, so that pretty much changed my whole life. So like
Hmm.
I had to stay here at my parents' house. So I was like a kid again. That same
Okay.
girl that's like, okay, can I do, you know what I mean? And
Exactly.
I'm in
Yeah.
my 30s.
Okay.
But in, you know, this time it felt good because, you know, like everybody needs to have like a time where they're like loved and like, you know, they
Mhm.
take care of their self and like, you know, they
Yeah.
hug their dog and, you know, like they appreciate
Yeah.
all the people that's in their lives,
Settle
you know?
down, slow down, relax.
Yeah.
Especially in fashion, because fashion is usually so go, go,
Uh,
go, go, go.
yeah.
A lot of people need just in general a moment for
Some
themselves.
self-love,
Yeah,
right.
definitely.
So that's a lot of what this year started being for me. And
Hmm.
then it started off where I just started like renovating my room and like the house and like because I
Hmm.
needed something to do. And then my
Right.
mom's like, go look in the shed. The shed is full of all my shoes.
Hmm.
So that's how I got that idea. And then COVID was here. So I was just like, how could I make this something that would be, you know, sharing a little bit of me with you,
Hmm.
as well as something that, you know, would make people happy. So,
Right.
shoes for me makes me happy. And
Hmm.
I like affordable shoes. I'm a bargain shopper. So
Okay.
if, you know, each box comes with a pair of shoes and I'll hand pick it for you. When you check out, you have a quiz and you answer these questions. And I like to go like spy on your Instagrams and stuff
Hmm.
just to see like who you are and like if I can
Right.
like put the gifts together because that's another one of the things that I really like to do is like to give gifts. You know,
Right.
like don't be the friend that shows up at someone's house empty-handed. That's so
Yeah.
tacky.
So it's a little bit of you personalize it a little bit, and then you
Oh
kind of
yeah,
self
completely
style
personalized.
somebody
Completely.
else's. Like, oh, I think this would be good
Hmm.
for you from my vision
Yeah.
style. Hmm.
Yeah. So that not just style, but like okay, for example, if I know like the last box I just did, so it's packing boxes all day.
Okay.
She's a nurse.
Hmm.
So first of all, I have a special place in my heart for nurses and you know, first responders.
Yeah.
Um, my sister's also a nurse.
Okay.
So I know how hard they're working and I know like they're doing so many things right now. So,
Extremely like
oh my gosh.
short
So yeah,
staff, still
I might
going
be
to work.
biased yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of the nurses are getting a lot extra,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of extra stuff. My mom's like, you have to
Okay.
think profit, but like, like sometimes it's not about that. It's about,
Yeah.
loving on people.
Mm-hmm.
So, she was really into figuring out a space for herself to be able to relax, and not have to think about what was going on at work. And,
Right.
she's also single. So, and there are different boxes, and I know she was interested in learning more about God. And God is,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing in my life or in my career that I could have done. Everything
Mm-hmm.
I've done failed. And then God said, all right, you done trying?
Right.
Now it's
What I
let me
have
let
for
me
you.
show you what I can do. And I think I'm like the poster child for that, because it's exactly my entire career.
Right.
So it's also, this business is also a way for me to share that. And it's not just about sharing like, okay, let's share the Bible kind of thing. For me, it's
Mm-hmm.
about sharing who God really is, and he really wants us to succeed. So I want
Yeah.
to, like, if I can say like, hey, if you do this,
Mm-hmm.
maybe this can happen for you too, because I can't really say like I exercise 5 times a day, and
Uh-huh.
this is how it
Everybody's journey
happened.
is so different. And then I
Right.
think, and again, that's why yours is just so organic and natural because it's so much of, especially now we're in such this entrepreneurial hustle hard
Yeah.
time. But so many people, when they're sharing their stories, whether they've made 100 million or they're just now getting it, they always say, "Hey, you're gonna get to a point where you feel you don't know what else to do, but
Yeah.
you hustle." And then also some of that has to just be affirmations or patience or letting things
Yeah.
naturally happen and organicness.
Hmm. Having
And
faith.
sometimes they'll call it luck. You can also, of course, call it faith and everything,
Mhm.
but the main thing is everything isn't in your control. But
No,
sometimes you have to release as much as you hustle. And you've done that
exactly.
several
I'm
times,
trying. I'm
and it
working on
happens
it.
each time. Yeah, so you're doing great. You're
Thank
doing great.
you. Thank
Of
you.
course.
But yeah, but
And
that's what
then,
like the boxes are about. Like, they
hmm
come with something for your mind, your
hmm
body, and your soul.
yeah.
Like your foot. Get it? Soul tie. Like soul for foot.
Oh, I got you. Okay, okay. So you have
Yeah.
a
So
detailed image.
you could either get it as a subscription.
Hmm
So, every month you'll get a new pair of shoes and something different for that month. So
hmm
you can just be, gluttonous with shoes like me, and we can like have like our own cute little like,
Yeah.
you know, Instagram
Oh,
shoe
moment.
closet.
Uh-huh. For
And,
sure.
there's also for the mind. So that particular nurse, she was looking to learn more about God. So I got her a workbook Bible.
Mhm.
And it's not just like your typical Bible. It's a Bible where you can color in, because she likes to color. Buy her like
Okay.
pens, just like something to like help her make that experience a little bit more friendly for her.
Yeah, definitely.
She also wanted to cleanse her apartment, and I saw on her Instagram that she's into crystals and like that type
Okay.
of stuff. So
So
I
you
got
gave her some
her,
sage.
sage, and like
Hmm
things to like really like go with her.
For
And
that. Yeah.
then, the big thing we have going on right now, which I'm really excited about, is our
hmm
Christmas boxes. It's the
Okay.
holiday box that's thinking of you. All of my
hmm
boxes come gift wrapped, and they're hand wrapped by me,
hmm
and well,
Okay.
and my
Showing that
team.
type of detail. Yeah.
Yeah, and, they're fabulous, by the way, because everything I do, I want to make sure that it looks great.
hmm
And, so you can send your Christmas present. Just send me your Christmas lists, and every single person on your list, just give me a little bit about what you need. You DM
hmm
me, whatever. It's like super personal. I don't want this to be like something that's like, like unhuman. I want it to
Yeah,
be
I got
something that has like a soul.
you.
And you send me your list, and we'll, figure out the best possible presents for these people.
Hmm
And even I've been getting a lot of requests from men, which I hadn't really thought too much about men's shoes. But right
You
now we're
can't forget
doing
us right now. Men's fashion is coming up. You can't just, men like gifts for the holidays too. You can't leave us
right.
out.
Well, what I'm doing now for the men, a friend of mine gave me this idea, is like, like Christmas shoes and Christmas
hmm
socks. So until
Okay.
we can like, until I can really like figure out, because men's shoes are a little bit different than women's shoes.
Yeah.
They're different.
hmm
So, for the ladies, if you want to give a gift to your boyfriend, or like someone, a man in your life, or whatever it is, we could add it if you want. If he's into female shoes, we do have sizes for larger feet, because I
Okay.
do have a bunch of those, and that's awesome. I'm loving it.
hmm
And we also do like bedroom slippers, and they're awesome. They're like super cute. Some of them are personalized, like we can put your faces on it and stuff like that. So it's cute.
hmm
And, my favorite box beyond that is the period boxes for women. So every month you have your period, and I think we need to celebrate that we are able to create life.
Right.
And I know the period always, our periods, we get such a bad rep, and want you to
Hmm.
make sure that you feel a little bit better on your period. So we're
Right.
gonna
Okay.
send you, it's called a lady business box. So
Oh.
it's all about, empowering who you are. We are the mothers of this earth.
Yeah.
So
Feminine
it's
health,
all about
everything
that and
around that
celebrating who
time.
we are. And
Hmm.
yeah, so that's
That's
what my
really
business is
amazing.
all about. So you guys support me.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm definitely sure you're definitely going to be getting a lot of DMs, especially with Black Friday as soon as that hits,
Oh, I
Thanksgiving,
can't
then you're
wait.
in time of Christmas. So everybody who is in our live right now, all
Yes.
the women and everything, and even men, if you want something and a gift for your lady, obviously she
Yes.
can personalize it very easy, and then she can completely take the ideas
Yeah.
off of you where you don't even have to think about it. So
Exactly. And everything is
definitely,
done with everything has, I'm doing everything too. You know what I
right.
mean? Like the personalizations, I want to make sure that everything has like our, you know, personalizations from me because I don't want it to be it's more than a business for me. It's more of how I'm sharing myself. So I want to make sure
Mhm.
that everything that I do is touched, by me and
Yeah.
wrapped by me and like, everything. I just want to make sure it's like, you know,
Very
authentic.
personal. You don't want it to be
Yeah.
just so cookie cutter and everything.
No, I
So
don't.
the business is now back active. You
Yes.
are fighting with COVID and everything that happened there. But I think the subscription model that you have is very perfect for e-commerce time naturally and organically.
Thank
Um,
you.
One thing that I keep getting, everybody is really, really wanting to know what happened with Marvin from the show because you guys were such a thing. So having a relationship, as we touch back a little bit on America's Next Top Model, through the show, you mentioned you get distracted sometimes once you start to get in a relationship. So,
Yes.
but after your career took off, so on and so forth. So, was it something that you continued as far as you and Marvin dating, or did you guys end up separating and you really just became more career driven independently?
Well, okay, so Marvin and I were such good friends. Like he was my best friend for like especially right after Top Model. It's good to have someone there with you that's like, understood what you went through. And
Yeah.
he was such a good friend. He is such a good friend.
Hmm.
And it was like him, me, and Corey. We were always
Okay.
like, like Corey was my best friend. He, you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it was really such a blessing to have him with me in that experience. And what you guys have to remember, we were really young. I was
Right.
what, 23 at the time, and he's younger than I am. So it was
He
like,
was what, 21 or something like that. So it was very
yeah,
early. Yeah.
yeah. So I believe, like, I think we had the conversation where it's just like, first of all, we hadn't seen each other for like a
Hmm.
lot. He lived in LA and I lived in New York. So we didn't
Right.
get to see each other a lot. And not that that put a strain in our relationship. It just, it just
That
allowed us to
distance is
know.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
That distance is
So
hard.
I think it was more of the distance and we kind of like it we grew apart and we both wanted different things out of
Hmm.
life, and it wasn't like a breakup. It was just more of like, I want you to do well in doing you, and I and vice versa. And that's
Yeah.
all it really was. It wasn't anything like I hate you. No, it wasn't like
Yeah.
that at all.
It was
And
just an
he's super
amicable
cool.
split. And it was very much just, I mean, because when you think about being young in a relationship, especially when you're in your early 20s, you're getting together oftentimes where you don't even really know yourself. So
Yeah.
when the career kind of comes and one, you're on two completely different coasts and two
Yeah.
completely different cities with their energy, you're just
Hmm.
finding yourself in a whole nother lane that somebody else is finding themselves. So you just end up
Exactly.
growing differently. And then when
Yeah.
you guys both all of a sudden all are having these super successful careers now.
Yeah.
So when you're 20th, you take advantage of your career opportunities. So
Right.
you guys just decided to grow as individuals, continue to be friends, because
Right.
working through something like that is something you'll never forget. Like
Oh, for sure.
you'll
Like,
always
when
have that.
yeah, like if I ever
Hmm.
think back at America's Next Top Model, like beside Tyra,
Yeah.
like
It's Marlon. He's right there.
yeah, Marvin and
Hmm.
Corey. Like, I mean, me and Corey are still like, that's
Really
like
tight.
that's my heart. But I
Yeah.
haven't really kept in touch with Marvin as closely.
Hmm.
We grew apart, but I like definitely, keep like watch what he's doing. I see he has his skincare line and stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
so proud of him. You
Hmm.
know, but everybody grows, and ironically, that was like my last relationship.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I just
You
hadn't
got
had
some work
time
to
for
do.
anything else.
You got some work to do besides the soul tie business. So
Yeah.
going, so being a model, being an entrepreneur, opening doors in China as a black face for pageantry over there, finishing in top two females in the cycle 2020 with America's Next Top Model, working, you you hinted a little bit or said a little bit, you honestly ended up working around the world in so many places, both
Oh,
as a model and now as a businesswoman.
yeah.
What has your insight been like as far as the different markets and opportunities that are in those different markets? Because South Africa right now, I know is very prevalent and booming when it comes to
Oh.
editorial. So
Mm-hmm.
what's some of your insight there?
Oh, so when I got the opportunity to go to South Africa, never in a million years did I ever think that that would have been an opportunity. I just never thought about it, didn't know that it was like a place to go, you know?
Yeah.
And I was able to spend 6 months there.
Oh wow.
And I think that was one of the I South Africa kind of like like reignited like my faith and a lot of like because I literally worked every day. And I remember there was like a Lexus job that like every girl wanted. And I
Mm-hmm.
like sat there and I'm praying, I'm like, God, if I can just book because like all the girls around you, they're not only just stunning, they're
Yeah.
the most amazing, beautiful human beings like ever. Like you know, I
Mm-hmm.
remember like Brie and Trisha and like they were like so amazing. So they were it wasn't like okay, she's you know, she's better than her. Like I feel like they were better than me. You know, so I was
Okay.
thinking like you no, seriously, like they were
Mm-hmm.
really really amazing models. Like Trisha, I think she just did like she's everywhere.
Okay.
She's doing
Okay.
everything and it's like you know everything in all the
Mm-hmm.
shows, all the you know campaigns and like beautiful girl from Uganda, which is so amazing.
Hey,
And
South
even
Africa.
right, and
Mm-hmm.
it starts your career, it really does. I think it helped me to grow as a serious fashion model from there.
Okay.
And you know just like praying and praying like you know like now I felt like I was in like how I was on Top Model. I felt like I was around a lot of women that were more than worthy, you
Wow.
know, and to be able to like work alongside these women was such a blessing for me because I
Mm-hmm.
never thought like in a million like it felt like I felt like a real model. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't just feel like okay you got these opportunities because you were on TV. I felt
Yeah.
like a real life you know model.
Yeah. I'm with you. I felt like I was going through the process and I was getting the opportunities because I was
Yeah,
like fit for the job. And it was
yeah,
consistency and going through the process, not just a TV celebrity appearance that ended
right.
up parlaying into something. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was
I got
that was like a real that was one of my favorite modeling journeys. It was
experience.
just real far.
Mm-hmm. No, it's the distance. I have it on my agenda shortly to go once things can
You
open
should
up a little
go.
bit. But I
Yeah.
know one thing I definitely want to ask, and I'm very interested in knowing your advice in this,
Okay.
is what would be your insight with everything you know now and some concrete advice tips that you would give to aspiring and up and coming models?
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
everything that I've learned when I first started does not even apply anymore, which is for
Mm-hmm.
me in my you know, it's the most amazing thing. First and
Yes.
foremost, we are in the age of social media. And
Mm-hmm.
when I was starting out, they had to tell you what to look like and what to do and what's and who you were supposed to be in order to fit in that mold.
Right.
That's our job now. It's
Mm-hmm.
if you believe in you and you believe that you deserve this, you show them. On your social media, you have such opportunity no matter how many followers you have. There are girls that
Mm-hmm.
are building their careers from the ground up. There's like and the best part about it, it's not typical girls. Like I don't know if I can say this enough. It is not about being Jordan. It's about
Yeah.
being you. And I mean, no shade at all. There's nothing wrong with being her, but that was the norm back then. And
Mm-hmm.
now, like, I was at the mall apartment like a couple years ago, and there are girls that are size 18. There are girls
Mm-hmm.
that are, you know, they are not perfect, and that's what they're loved for. There are girls whose
Right.
hair is short, long, green, yellow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's girls with scars. There's girls with stories. There's, you know, there's men. There's like, there's you know racially ambiguous people like no, if you believe in you like a lot of people like
Yeah.
what do I have to do to be a model? What do you
Mm-hmm.
have to be a model is to literally like look at yourself in the mirror and say is this for me? Like seriously, because it's
Mm-hmm.
not for everyone. And if you
It
think
is
that
not.
you are going to go places with this, who's going to tell you no?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they told me
Right.
no 100% of the time, and
Look what
here I
happened.
am. You
Exactly.
know? So
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted, if you really want, if I wanted to give anyone any advice at all, is believe in yourself and do the work, because it's
Right.
a lot of work. And the more different you are than what we used to see as a model, is the
Mm-hmm.
harder you're going to have to work. And that's not an
100%.
unfortunate thing. It's actually a good thing, because like when you start hitting your stride, can't nobody catch you.
Right. You're
You
in
know what
your
I
lane, you're
mean?
in your tunnel vision. So I think one thing you said that I definitely want to double down on a little bit is you said doing the work.
Yeah.
So what would be some of those advice points? Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I want to be a model. What does it take? So what would
Okay.
be some of those advice points as far as what does that work look like? What do certain
Okay.
young models or newly signed models even need to
Mm-hmm.
actively do to make themselves better in an era of way more competition? Like you're competing with
Okay.
everybody.
So, I know like I've been saying this a lot, but like the social media aspect is,
Mhm.
this is what the designers, this is what the clients are looking at the moment. A lot of the agencies are still not open. I'm signed with Elite right now, and they're not even open as well yet. So a lot of the jobs and a lot of the castings that we've been getting have been, you know,
Direct.
self-taping. So get you a little, like go on Amazon. I'll put a link. I'll try to put a link on my Instagram for a little bit later. There's
Mhm.
this studio setup for like $99. It's a
Okay.
full backdrop, some lights, and like a little
Mhm.
stand that you can put your phone on, any phone, you know?
Mhm.
And you film yourself saying, "Hi, my name is Renee Bhagwandeen. I am with so and so. If you're not with anyone, this is how you reach me, and I would love to work with you," right? That's your business
Mhm.
card, first and foremost. Your second big business card is your Instagram, you know,
Yeah.
and it's free. It takes nothing to go take some cute little pictures, look at some models, look at like, you know, what's out there. And then, I mean, you can also say, you know, who am I? And I'm going to be the best authentic me possible. And that's a really hard thing to do, because I'm working on that now, just like trying to figure out who I am. And you
Yeah.
present that to the world on your social media. And then you
Mhm.
start finding all these the PR emails from the companies that you would like to work with, because it's a
Mhm.
lot more obtainable to just directly communicate with them these days. You
Yes.
find the PR people and the people that handle the social media, and you say, "Hey, I would love to work with you." You know, sometimes they'll say, "I'll send you some of my products. You know, I'll take a
Mhm.
picture." You know, just find your way into their
Network and get
network.
in the door. Yeah.
Basically, you don't need
Mhm.
agencies now. You are the agency, and it's a
Yeah.
lot more work, but you have, who's going to push you more than you know?
Mhm.
So if you're interested in being anything, you start doing the work. If I, because like I know right now, I really want to be a Marvel superhero, because I think I would be a badass superhero.
I think you can do that. I can
Oh
easily
my
see
gosh,
you being the new
please.
Black Widow, no problem.
Oh my gosh, I want to be Tropical Storm. Get it?
Oh, I can see that. I can see that.
Like put it out there.
Mhm.
So
You got to put it in the universe first.
right. So I
Mhm.
know that in order to be able to do such a thing, I would need acting classes. So I'm in
Yeah.
acting classes via Zoom.
Mhm.
I also know you have to be physically capable. I
Yes.
mean,
You
I'm
have to be very fit.
athletic, but I'm not, I'm kind of allergic to working out. So in order for me to like want to work out, I'm going to
And
have
this is coming
to,
from a track girl, so that's
girl.
a statement.
Exactly. So I
Mhm.
know I have to like learn how to be physically fit. And
Right.
so I'm working on that still. You know, like I'm
Okay.
like, I like know how to like kick, and like, you know, I like, I'm on YouTube. You don't even have to pay for stuff. YouTube is like how I learn how to do everything. I'm learning how
Yeah.
to be an entrepreneur on YouTube, you
Mhm.
know? So
YouTube
anything that you
University is
need.
very real.
Oh, it is. That's why I started a YouTube channel, because I felt like literally I do everything on YouTube. And
Mhm.
I get so many questions, especially because Top Model's been airing now, about, you know,
Right.
how to do this and how to do that. And I wanted to like, it's, I think that I was given these opportunities so that I can be able to help someone else be able
Yeah.
to, you know, come. I don't want you to ever want to be like me. I want you to be better than me, because if I can do it, you can do it better, you
That's
know?
amazing.
And that's like my whole thing for doing the YouTube channel. I really, really want, you know, to see like, okay, I saw this girl, and she, and you know, through her, you know, what she was saying, I was able to do what I've done, because that's what Tyra did for me. You
Right.
know, like I don't know if Tyra understands how important she is, not just in like everybody else's life, but like in my life, because I mean, what kind of models did you see that was like even? She opened the door for everybody that didn't look like a
Normal.
cookie
Yeah, like a
cutter.
standard model. Like it was like I'm about to change because she wasn't the cookie cutter model when
She
she got in it
wasn't.
so much. So paying it forward in so many
Hmm.
ways, I think is one of the biggest gifts of life where
Yeah.
whatever anybody did for you, you now have a responsibility to
Yeah.
create a domino effect to do that for the next person. And
Hmm.
simple as
Isn't
holding the
that
door
fun
open
too? Isn't
and it
that
keeps moving.
great? Like,
It's a very
yeah.
inspiring thing for me personally. It's something in my story that I tell about like my mentor and mentors. Like I just kind of do the same thing they did for me in so many ways,
Yeah.
which is why this talk even was created. And this
That's
year, just to
awesome.
be like, have conversations for people who are trying to be in fashion, who are really interested in working in fashion, from people who have done it, who are doing it, and getting insight that a lot of people may not normally have access to.
Right.
So, because I know some of my channels are a little bit better, some happening
Hmm.
like, well, I just kind of reached out, shot my shot, and was like, hey, Renee, you would be amazing. What do you
No, I
think?
mean,
And
hit me
then,
up.
so,
Seriously, hit me up. And I'm like
yeah,
really interested in like at this like now like I love giving modeling advice, but
hmm,
like
you
right
gave some
now I'm like
amazing
really
advice
into
as well.
helping entrepreneurs. So if you have a business, hit
Hmm.
me up. We'll figure something out, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna do something soon where you know, I'm definitely everybody that has their own business, I would love like, you know, like send me your stuff and like we can be able to like expose that stuff. I'm trying not to curse. You know what I mean? Like we need
You're
to blow
good.
up. Like every working,
Mhm.
you know, working hard. Like I really appreciate when I see people working hard, and that's just like
Yeah.
that inspires me. Let's do it
Hmm.
together.
You have to inspire each other because it's all business is a
Yeah,
battlefield and it's a hard journey. But I mean, you
yeah.
gave some of the best modeling advice. So if anybody in the comments, if you
Um,
have a friend who wants to be a model, the way that she
yeah,
broke it down on what you actively need to do in real time, beyond just one, you need to be able to believe in yourself, be able to take
yeah.
no's. But once you get over that, what's going to be your action items? Renee definitely just said what you need to do.
Mm.
I know throughout our entire interview, you have gotten so much love and support from people saying they love you, you're
They're so
beautiful, you're
sweet. You
gorgeous.
have no idea how
So,
much that you like today. I didn't have the best day ever,
mhm.
and I
Well,
was
I
just
hope
like
we
reading
made it
my
a little bit
DMs.
better.
Not just a little bit, like just to know that people appreciate the hard work that you put in, because you
Yeah.
can forget that for yourself sometimes, just like all the
Hmm.
love and all the support, like you know what I mean, like just like one person buying a box or one person
Right.
calling, you know, like on my Instagram just to say like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I watched you in American Next Top Model and because of you I'm going to try to do this.
Right.
Those are the things that I like, and that I feel like that's like I didn't know before, but I feel like now that it's airing again and it's like kind of like that frenzy again,
Hmm.
it's really
Especially in
like,
this time, because it's such a different time. So it's like for people to see you do
yeah.
it now, it's very like, but it was something about Cycle 20 because I'll be up
Really?
and down with America's Next Top Model. I've watched Eva
Same.
Pickford's season, some of the first two seasons, and then like a little bit of season 23. But season
Really?
20, I watched the entire thing in its entirety.
Because we're
And it was
awesome.
yeah, it was just a little different. So I think what your season uniquely is doing, and then so many young aspiring black models seeing you being one so poised because you're coming from that aesthetic of, well, I was a pageant, so I know what to do. And
Yeah.
then working through the entire process of the archetype model, but they're like, hey, but with hard work, you can be just
Yeah.
as good as be one and one.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of people are pulling so much from that inspiration in this time and are definitely going to carry it on. And like I
Oh.
said, people are still like, oh, I love you. You're so amazing. So yeah.
No, you guys are
Yeah.
you're the reason why, because it's like just like it was before. It's like things go up and things go down, but if you have
Yeah.
people supporting you, I didn't have that before, and now like I
Hmm.
do, and it's
Yeah.
like holy shit, like what am I going to do without you guys? You know, it's like,
Hmm.
you know, it's people recognize that you work hard, and it reminds you that, you know, I'm going to do what it takes to make sure that I don't let them down and let myself down. So
Right.
thank you guys for even like recognizing that I'm
Of
alive.
course. Of course. Of course. So I definitely appreciate you sitting down with us and talking to you. Feel
No
free to reach
problem.
out anytime. We, as a publication, are easily here to support you. It's one of our main goals. And
Thank
I
you.
look forward to working with you and meeting you sometime in the future.
For
But
sure.
I will let you have the signing off notes as we wrap this
Okay.
interview.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. It has been such a pleasure. just like he did. If you ever want to contact me, reach out. Might take a little bit, but I'm definitely gonna like I definitely try to like respond to everyone I can. And if you ever need any advice or anything, I know their magazine is actually I like looked at the inspiration that you guys have on your just your feed alone is amazing. So seeing like all
Thank
these
you.
beautiful black women and men as well.
Yeah.
And if you believe in you, no one's going to stop you. And it's going to be hard because, especially if you're the wrong everything, you show them how
Yes.
right you are.
Mm-hmm.
And God, I mean, that's my thing. There is no
Mm-hmm.
reason why I should be in this position right now without God. So
Yeah.
if that falls in your garden, you know, thank you.
Sounds amazing to me. So we're signing off notes from Marae. This is our 21st episode of Talk Tuesday. We will see you next time. Look forward to the guests that we have. And Renee, you have a beautiful rest of your day as well.
Thank you so much.
No
Thank you
problem.
guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.